shed a tear. Pity you poor American taxpayers. The New York State Attorney General says that Citigroup, Merrill, and 7 other banks, which got $175 billion in tax-funded bailout money, paid out $33 billion in bonuses. The report by Attorney General Andrew Cuomo says that when banks did well, employees were paid well. That's okay. Cool. When they did poorly, employees were paid well. And when they did really poorly, they were paid well. Concluding that the bonus structure had no rhyme or reason, which is indeed the title of the report. As for the numbers, not a lot of sense there. He has a point, maybe. Goldman, Morgan, JPM Chase took in $45 billion of bailout funds under the TARP, paid out $18 billion in bonuses amongst them, and how much they make? Less than $10 billion last year. You see, in banking, 2 + 2 does not equal 4. In many ways, the failure of the finance system was an abuse of trust, of the public's trust in the banks and regulators. Public relations firm Edelman decided to do a mid-year update of its annual trust barometer to see how attitudes have changed and or are changing. They found consumers are actually starting to regain their belief in government. Go government and go big business as the economies improve, led by the U.S., which has significantly more trust than in January. Both government and corporations getting higher marks. Our guest today, and Alan VanderMolen, Edelman Public Relations Asia Pacific President, with us on the show, along with Yang Liu, who has nothing but trust in the PRC. Alan, welcome.
It's great to be back.
I don't know. These sound like a lot of suckers. Everybody's trusting their governments and business.
Well, look, I think, first of all, you see trust in business and government track with economic performance. So as the stock market in the U.S. has started to come back, yesterday it closed at 2009 highs, you see trust in business start to come back and trust in government come back. So I think those things generally have a linear track.
This is kind of like Hong Kong, isn't it? It's like when they're down and out, property prices are down, you have negative equity and your stock portfolio is down, you march for democracy. And when you're getting richer and you still have your job and you're paying your mortgage and you're not in so much trouble, and the hang sings at 20,000, you'll love the administration, you love the status quo. Is this sort of like that?
Well, it is a little bit, but I think we're seeing a fundamental change in trust. As we've had a global economic reset, we're also having a reset in trust. We're seeing a shift from a shareholder society to a stakeholder society. So it's not just enough to deliver for Wall Street or for the markets. You must also deliver in a way that governments expect you to deliver, that consumers expect you to deliver, that employees expect you to deliver.
No, wait. Where does this come from? This violates the Milton Friedman concept that it is increasing shareholder wealth that is the bastion of capitalism in the world as we know it.
Well, I think the subprime crisis has blown up Mr. Friedman's point of view there. The doctor's point of view. I think now that governments and regulators are looking at business for long-term sustainable development and performance. Consumers are looking at businesses. Investors are looking at businesses, all for long-term sustainable delivery.
Okay. Can I bring in the China context? Because this is something that's really going to tickle Yang, okay? Do you remember the numbers? I've got the numbers here. What is the level of trust, increased trust in the corporate world in China, and whether the country is headed in the right direction? We're talking some pretty impressive numbers.
Well, the percentages I don't quite remember, but I can tell you that in general,
60% say they trust business to do what's right. 96% say the country is headed in the right direction in the PRC.
I think when you look at opinion leaders in China, they're seeing that their economy is outperforming Western economies and outperforming other economies in the region. Therefore, they're very optimistic, not only domestically, but at their opportunities for Chinese businesses to go abroad. What they need to remember, however, is as they expand abroad, they need to be looking at not just their financial returns, but also making sure they have proper relationships with local regulators, with local stakeholders and opinion leaders, so they can actually enter a market with the proper ability to operate.
Yeah. Yang, you spend a lot of time with businesses, interviewing, grilling the companies to check whether you want to throw money into them or not. Is the mood that you're witnessing, does that sort of gel with what Alan and the Edelman people found out?
Firstly, I want to say I trust our government. Otherwise, I couldn't have the performance today. I said early this year, follow the Communist Party system and follow the money. That's our strategy in 2009. However, in terms of the relationship, he also talked about, we understand our concept of relationship, but we are still in the infant stage to learn about the overseas relationship, right?
I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you bring the concept very clear is the trust. I don't believe in the China business sector they have established their trust with their counterparties, with their partners in the overseas market. Yet there's a long way to go.
I mean, if I could just jump in, our data shows that level of trust in Chinese domestic business is very high. However, when you measure trust in Chinese business abroad, it's second lowest. Only Russia performs worse.
Well, they need to work on that then.
They absolutely need to work at it, but beyond the investor perspective, they need to work on it in terms of understanding expectations on product quality, expectations on labor relations, expectations on environmental performance, on broader expectations that are driven not by shareholders but by stakeholders.
But this is an important thing, because the people on the ground, the people that build the economy, the people involved in a given economy are the ones that make it chug along, right? Unfortunately, you know, you can have years of progress and improvements in quality control and that sort of thing, and then one statement by somebody like Nancy Pelosi and down the tube, just like that. That's the unknown. That's the unquantifiable dimension in all this. And this actually begs maybe for another survey, doesn't it? Cross-border or trans-oceanary trust.
But it does, but it also is I think a learning point and a call for businesses, no matter what their market of origin is, to engage in multiple stakeholder relationships, to talk to the governments, to talk to their employees, to talk to investors, and realize that these people are having discussions about them, about their companies, and about their brands on an ongoing basis.
Okay. So, in the world you trust?
I think I only trust my fundamental research at the end of the day, because I have to make money for my shareholders. That's my job. So I use my skill, my expertise, my connection to check everything which I could, adding up to add value to my portfolio. And that's something my shareholders love. So the trust is, at the end of the day, is the essential.
How about a new slogan? Trust but verify.
Oh, I loved it.
Do you know who coined that one?
Who?
Who coined that one?
Bernie Lau?
Ronald Reagan.
Oh,
great.
Ronald Reagan.
Remember?
Yeah.
The strategic arms limitation talks. Strategic arms reduction talks. He said, trust the Soviets, but verify. Reaganomics lives on. Alan, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Nice report. Get that transoceanary report.
I'm going to go buy a green tie.
It works for me, doesn't it? And a little bit of jadeite around the neck, too. Alan VanderMolen, Asia-Pac Chief Edelman. Next, Your Time Confidential. I've literally got hundreds of emails from you. I'm going to try to get the most salient ones on, okay?